Captain Martinez looked at the confused and frightened faces of the Alliance bridge crew through her communication link. She could see that Captain Zethkar was struggling to understand how completely his worldview had been shattered in the past hour. The time had come to move beyond demonstrations and discuss the real reason why humanity had revealed itself today. Captain Zethkar, I would like to invite you and your senior officers to come aboard the Liberty's Edge for a formal meeting. We have important matters to discuss that will affect the future relationship between our species. Zethkar hesitated. Every instinct told him that boarding an unknown vessel was dangerous, especially one that had just demonstrated technological superiority over his own ship. However, he also understood that the humans could have destroyed or captured the stellar wind at any time during the past hour, if that had been their intention. What assurance do I have of safe passage? He asked. You have my word as a starship captain, Martinez replied. We are not here to harm anyone. We are here to talk about changing the way our species interact with each other. After a brief discussion with his officers, Zethkar agreed to the meeting. He selected Chief Science Officer Yelnara, Security Chief Vorthak, and Communications Officer Tomar to accompany him. Alex Rodriguez volunteered to serve as translator, which seemed reasonable given his apparent familiarity with human communication methods. The Alliance officers were transported to the Liberty's Edge using a technology that made them feel like they were dissolving and reforming in a matter of seconds. The human transporter system was unlike anything in Alliance records, and it worked so smoothly that the visitors barely felt any discomfort during the transfer process. The interior of the human ship was a study in efficient design and advanced technology. The corridors were wider than those on Alliance vessels, and the lighting was softer and more natural. Every surface seemed to be made of materials that could change color and texture, depending on the lighting conditions. Captain Martinez met them in the main conference room, accompanied by her senior staff. Chief Diplomat Rachel Ford stood at the head of a large table that displayed holographic star charts and data screens. The human officers were professional and courteous, but there was an underlying confidence that made the Alliance visitors feel distinctly uncomfortable. Please be seated, Rachel said, gesturing to chairs that automatically adjusted to accommodate the different physiologies of the Alliance species. We have much to discuss, and I want to make sure everyone understands the current situation clearly. Strategic Analyst Chris Brown activated the holographic displays that filled the center of the table. The images showed detailed maps of Alliance space with hundreds of red markers scattered throughout dozens of star systems. Each marker represented a human operation that the Alliance had never detected. Gentlemen, what you are seeing is the extent of human activities in Alliance territory over the past 4 years, Chris explained. We have established colonies on 47 worlds that your surveys classified as uninhabited. We have mining operations in 6 asteroid fields that you believed were empty space. We have monitoring stations positioned near every major Alliance military installation. Captain Zethkar stared at the display in horror. The red markers were everywhere, scattered throughout regions that the Alliance considered completely secure. This is impossible. Our sensor networks would have detected unauthorized activities on this scale. Your sensor networks detect what they are designed to find, Rachel replied. They were not designed to find technology that operates outside the normal parameters of Alliance science. Humanity has developed capabilities that your instruments simply cannot recognize. Dr. Peter Hayes joined the presentation with medical and biological data that made the Alliance officers even more uncomfortable. We have been conducting detailed studies of Alliance species for over 3 years. We have genetic samples from every major population center in your territory. We understand your biology better than most of your own scientists do. He displayed charts showing the genetic weaknesses and physiological vulnerabilities of 43 different Alliance species. The information was so detailed and accurate that it could only have been obtained through extensive covert operations conducted over many years. We know that Vorthon crystalline skin becomes brittle when exposed to specific frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. We understand that Thrixian exoskeletons have stress fractures that develop in predictable patterns. We have identified the neurological pathways that control Zentari tentacle movement. Security Chief Vorthak shifted nervously in his chair. Are you threatening us with biological warfare? Quite the opposite, Rachel assured him. We are offering to share medical technology that could eliminate many of the health problems that plague Alliance species. The knowledge we have gained could be used to help your people, not harm them. Communications Officer Danny Kim presented intelligence reports that revealed the depth of human penetration into Alliance government operations. We have been monitoring your political processes for 18 months. We know about the growing tensions between founding species and newer members. We are aware of the independence movements on 12 different worlds. The holographic display showed secret communications between Alliance officials discussing issues that were supposed to be classified at the highest levels of government. The humans had somehow gained access to conversations that took place in the most secure facilities in Alliance space. The Nexarian Empire is planning to demand greater representation in the High Council. The Ethereal Collective is considering withdrawal from the Alliance trade agreements. 3 junior species are actively negotiating with outside powers about potential defection. Captain Martinez took control of the presentation at this point. Her expression became more serious as she prepared to deliver humanity's demands to the Alliance representatives. Captain Zethkar, what we have shown you today represents only a small portion of human capabilities. We have been systematically underestimated by your government for decades. The Alliance treats Earth as a primitive world, populated by barely civilized animals who need protection from the dangers of galactic society. She activated displays showing Alliance laws and regulations that restricted human movement and prevented Earth from participating in galactic trade networks. Your non-interference directive is designed to keep humanity isolated, while allowing Alliance species to exploit resources in our region of space. You take what you want from systems near Earth while telling us that we are too primitive to be trusted with advanced technology. Rachel Ford stepped forward to deliver the formal ultimatum. The Alliance government has 2 choices. You can recognize Earth as an equal partner and grant humanity full membership in your organization with all the rights and privileges that entails. This includes unrestricted access to galactic trade routes, colonization zones, and technology sharing agreements. Strategic analyst Chris Brown displayed the alternative scenario. Or you can continue to treat humanity as a junior species while we build our own coalition of displaced and dissatisfied worlds. We have already made contact with 17 Alliance member species who feel dominated by the founding races. They are very interested in joining a new organization that offers them equal representation. The threat was clear and unmistakable. Humanity was offering the Alliance a choice between cooperation and competition. They could accept Earth as an equal partner, or they could watch as humans gradually undermined Alliance authority by offering better alternatives to unhappy member species. The Alliance Council will never accept demands from a species that was classified as Level 2 civilization. Less than 5 years ago, Zethkar protested. You are asking us to overturn centuries of established policy based on a single demonstration of technology. Captain Martinez smiled in a way that made all the Alliance officers feel very uncomfortable. Captain, I think you misunderstand the nature of our offer. We are not asking the Alliance Council for anything. We are informing you of the new reality that exists whether your government accepts it or not. She gestured to the displays showing human operations throughout Alliance space. Earth has already established the infrastructure for an independent civilization that operates parallel to your own. We have colonies, trade networks, intelligence operations, and military capabilities that your government cannot control or eliminate. The only question is whether the Alliance wants to work with us or against us. Dr. Karen White presented the final element of humanity's position. We are prepared to share medical technology that could extend the lifespan of every Alliance species by an average of 30%. We have developed agricultural techniques that could eliminate food shortages on resource-poor worlds. We have energy systems that could power entire civilizations using resources that you currently consider worthless. She paused to let the implications sink in. These benefits come with cooperation, not conquest. If the Alliance chooses to maintain its current policies toward Earth, then these technologies will be shared with other species who are willing to treat humanity as equals. The conference room fell silent as the Alliance officers absorbed the full scope of what they had heard. Captain Zethkar tried to regain control of the situation by following standard Alliance protocols. His training told him to escort unknown vessels to the nearest Alliance station for proper identification and processing. The fact that this particular unknown vessel had somehow appeared in the middle of Alliance space with advanced stealth technology did not change the basic procedures he was supposed to follow. Captain Martinez, he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "I am ordering you to follow my ship to Station Kepler 7 for immediate inspection and registration. Any unauthorized vessels found in Alliance space must be processed according to galactic law." Martinez looked amused by his request. "Captain, I appreciate your dedication to following proper procedures, but I must respectfully decline your invitation. We have other plans for today." "This is not a request," Zethkar replied firmly. "This is a direct order from an authorized representative of the Galactic Trade Alliance. You will comply immediately or face the consequences." "And what consequences would those be?" Martinez asked with a slight smile. "Do you plan to force us to comply?" "I would be very interested to see how you intend to accomplish that." Zethkar gestured to his weapons officer. "We have sufficient firepower to disable your vessel if necessary. I would prefer to resolve this situation peacefully, but I am prepared to use force if you continue to resist lawful orders." Martinez turned to her engineering officer. "Katie, would you please show our guests what human defensive technology can accomplish?" Chief Engineer Katie Morgan nodded and activated controls that made her entire engineering panel light up with new displays. "Activating quantum displacement field for demonstration purposes." The Liberty's edge began to shimmer and fade like a mirage in the desert. The ship became translucent, then completely invisible, then solid again in a matter of seconds. The Alliance sensors went crazy as they tried to track a vessel that was phasing in and out of normal space without actually moving from its position. "Our quantum displacement system allows us to exist in multiple dimensional phases simultaneously," Katie explained through the communication link. "We can become completely undetectable while remaining in the same physical location. Your weapons cannot target what your sensors cannot properly track." Yelnara stared at her sensor displays in complete confusion. According to her instruments, the human ship was there, then not there, then there again, but it had never actually moved. This was technology that violated several basic laws of physics as the Alliance understood them. "That is impossible," she whispered. "Matter cannot exist in multiple states simultaneously without massive energy expenditure. The power requirements alone should be beyond any portable generator system." Communications Officer Danny Kim spoke from the human bridge. "Would you like us to demonstrate our communication capabilities as well? We are currently in contact with our other vessels in this system." Without waiting for an answer, Danny activated his long-range transmitters. The main screen split into multiple sections showing the bridges of 6 other human ships. Each vessel appeared to be identical to the Liberty's edge, and each was commanded by a different human captain, who greeted Captain Zethkar with polite professionalism. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the Eagle's flight. Currently positioned near your outer planet monitoring stations, Captain Sarah Johnson of the Freedom's Call. Operating in the asteroid mining sector, Captain Kevin Brown of the Patriot's Dream. Conducting surveys near your communication relay satellites, Captain Amy Davis of the Victory's Hope. Observing your cargo shipping lanes, Captain Steve Wilson of the Liberty's Shield. Stationed near your emergency supply depots, Captain Carol Martinez of the Democracy's Sword. Monitoring your patrol routes from the system's edge." Zethkar felt sick as he realized that 7 human ships had been operating throughout his patrol sector for months without detection. They had been watching everything the Alliance did while remaining completely invisible. The scope of the intelligence operation was staggering. "How long have you been spying on us?" he asked weakly. Dr. Peter Hayes consulted his data tablet. "Our systematic observation of Alliance operations began approximately 14 months ago. However, we have been conducting limited intelligence gathering in this region for over 3 years. Weapons specialist Jake Sullivan decided to demonstrate human defensive capabilities. Captain Zethkar, your ship is currently conducting active sensor sweeps of our vessel. Would you like to see what happens when we return those scanner beams to their point of origin?" Jake activated the gravitational shield system that surrounded the Liberty's edge. The Alliance scanner beams struck the invisible barrier and bounced directly back toward the stellar wind. The reflected energy overloaded the Alliance sensor array and temporarily blinded their detection systems. "Our gravitational deflection fields can redirect any energy-based attack back at the attacker," Jake explained. "This includes scanner beams, communication signals, and weapons fire. We could disable your ship without firing a single shot." Security Chief Vorthak reached for his emergency communication controls to call for backup from other Alliance vessels in the region. Before he could activate the subspace transmitter, Communications Officer Danny Kim spoke up again. "I should mention that we are currently jamming all subspace communications from your vessel," Danny said apologetically. "We cannot allow you to contact other Alliance ships until our meeting is complete. Your communication systems will be restored once we finish our conversation." Zethkar tried his own communication panel and discovered that Danny was telling the truth. Every frequency was blocked by sophisticated interference that prevented any signals from leaving the stellar wind. The humans had isolated his ship completely from outside contact. Dr. Karen, White, appeared on screen carrying medical equipment that looked far more advanced than anything in Alliance hospitals. "Captain, we have been studying Alliance biology for several years now. Our medical database contains detailed information about the physiology of every species currently serving on your ship." She activated a handheld scanner that immediately displayed detailed biological readings from every officer on the Alliance bridge. The device showed heart rates, brain activity, genetic markers, and health information that should have been impossible to obtain from such a distance. "Your Chief Science Officer Yelnara has a minor calcium deficiency that is affecting her exoskeleton development. Security Chief Vorthak has elevated stress hormones indicating chronic anxiety. Navigator Jorix shows signs of early-stage respiratory infection that he has not yet noticed. Would you like us to provide treatment recommendations?" The casual display of medical knowledge that violated every privacy law in Alliance space left the entire bridge crew feeling exposed and vulnerable. The humans knew more about their bodies than they knew about themselves. "This is a violation of Alliance medical privacy laws," Zethkar protested weakly. "Only if we were Alliance citizens bound by Alliance law," Martinez replied. "Since Earth is not currently a member of your organization, your laws do not apply to our actions." Alex Rodriguez finally revealed the full extent of human intelligence operations. "Captain, I should also mention that I am not the only human operative working within Alliance space. We currently have agents embedded in 17 different Alliance organizations, including 3 positions within the High Council chambers on Zentara Prime." He activated his hidden recording devices and played back conversations between Alliance officials that had taken place in supposedly secure government facilities. The recordings included classified military briefings, private diplomatic negotiations, and personal conversations between high-ranking officials who thought they were completely protected from surveillance. "We know about the secret mining, operations in the neutral zone. We are aware of the weapons development programs being conducted without council approval. We have recordings of every major political decision made by your government over the past 18 months. Captain Martinez looked directly at Zethkar through the communication link. "Captain, I think you are beginning to understand that the relationship between our species is not what your government believes it to be. Humanity is not a primitive civilization that needs Alliance protection or guidance. We are a technological power that has been operating in your space while remaining completely undetected." She gestured to her crew members who had demonstrated capabilities that the Alliance thought were impossible. "We have stealth technology that makes our ships invisible to your best sensors. We have defensive systems that can neutralize your weapons without causing harm. We have communication networks that span the entire galaxy. We have intelligence operations that penetrate your most secure facilities." Zethkar looked around his bridge at officers who were staring at their control panels in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about human capabilities had been proven wrong in the span of an hour. The species they had dismissed as barely civilized had been watching their every move while developing technology that surpassed anything the Alliance possessed. "What do you want from us?" he asked quietly. Martinez smiled. "That, Captain, is an excellent question. I think it is time for our governments to discuss that topic in detail." Captain Martinez looked at the chronometer on her command chair and nodded to her crew. The time had finally come to make history. 6 hours of careful positioning had brought the Liberty's Edge to exactly where it needed to be, just off the starboard bow of the Alliance patrol ship Stellar Wind. The 2 vessels were so close that their crews could see each other through the viewport windows, if the human ship had been visible. "All stations report ready for decloak operation," Danny Kim announced from his communications station. "Weapons remain powered down but ready for defensive action," Jake Sullivan confirmed. "Stealth systems operating at full efficiency," Katie Morgan called out from engineering. "We can maintain invisibility for another 72 hours if needed." or we can drop the field instantly on your command." Martinez took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. "Drop stealth field now." The space around the stellar wind suddenly filled with brilliant light as the Liberty's Edge materialized out of nothing. One moment there was empty space, and the next moment a massive ship appeared so close that both crews could clearly see each other through their bridge windows. The human vessel was unlike anything in Alliance records, with smooth curves and strange metal that seemed to shift color in the starlight. On the Alliance bridge, chaos erupted immediately. Alarm bells started ringing as sensors that had shown empty space suddenly detected a huge unknown vessel. Officers shouted in a dozen different alien languages as they tried to understand what was happening. Captain Zethkar stumbled backward in shock, his forearms flailing as he tried to keep his balance. "Emergency stations," he roared. "Unknown vessel has appeared directly beside us." "How is this possible?" Chief Science Officer Yelnara's compound eyes went wide as her instruments finally registered what had been hiding in plain sight. "Captain, this ship was here all along. The gravitational readings I detected were completely accurate. Somehow this vessel was invisible to all our sensors except gravity detection." Communications Officer Tomar's tentacles moved frantically over his control panel as he tried to establish contact with the mysterious ship. "I am receiving a transmission request on frequencies we do not normally use. The signal is coming from the unknown vessel." Zethkar straightened his uniform and tried to look commanding despite his obvious confusion. "Put them on the main screen immediately." Alex Rodriguez quietly activated his hidden recording devices and prepared to play his part in the drama that was about to unfold. He had dreamed of this moment for 2 years, and now he would finally see the look on his crewmates' faces when they learned the truth about human capabilities. The main screen flickered, and then showed the bridge of the Liberty's Edge. Captain Lisa Martinez appeared in the center of the image, wearing a uniform that none of the Alliance officers recognized. Behind her, they could see other humans working at control stations filled with technology that looked both familiar and completely alien at the same time. Zethkar stared at the screen in disbelief. Humans were supposed to be confined to their home system by Alliance law. They were classified as a Level 2 civilization that had barely achieved interplanetary travel. Yet here was a human captain commanding a vessel that had somehow penetrated deep into Alliance space without detection. "I am Captain Lisa Martinez, of the Earth vessel Liberty's Edge," the human woman said in perfect Alliance standard language. "We apologize for the dramatic appearance, but we needed to ensure we had your complete attention." "This is impossible," Zethkar whispered, then raised his voice. "I am Captain Zethkar of the Alliance patrol ship Stellar Wind. How did you get here? Human vessels are not permitted beyond your home system boundaries." Martinez smiled in a way that made Zethkar feel very uncomfortable. "Captain, I think you will find that many things you believe about human capabilities are no longer accurate. We have been operating in Alliance space for quite some time now." Dr. Peter Hayes stepped into view on the screen, carrying a data tablet filled with information. "Captain Zethkar, our records show that this is the 14th Alliance patrol we have observed in this sector over the past 6 months. We have detailed logs of your patrol routes, crew rotations, and communication protocols." Navigator Tom Baker appeared next to Martinez and activated a holographic display that showed the entire Kepler 442 system. Red dots appeared on the map, marking locations throughout the asteroid belt and near the outer planets. These positions represent human settlements that have been established on 17 different worlds in this system. All of them were classified as uninhabited by Alliance surveys. Zethkar felt his legs getting weak. 17 human colonies in Alliance space? It was impossible. The Alliance had the most advanced sensor technology in the galaxy. They would have detected any unauthorized settlements immediately. "You are lying," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Our sensors would have found these colonies years ago." Communications Officer Danny Kim spoke from his position on the human bridge. "Captain, we are currently in contact with 6 other Earth vessels positioned throughout this system. Would you like us to have them decloak as well to prove our point?" The Alliance bridge fell completely silent. Every officer stared at the screen as the implications of what they were hearing began to sink in. If the humans were telling the truth, then everything the Alliance thought they knew about Earth's technological level was wrong. Security Chief Linda Foster appeared on screen, carrying a datapad filled with classified information. Captain Zethkar, we have been monitoring Alliance military communications for over 3 years. We know about the resource disputes between the Vorthan Empire and the Nexarian Collective. We are aware of the independence movements on 12 Alliance member worlds. We have detailed psychological profiles of every major political leader in the galactic government. Zethkar sank into his command chair as the full scope of the situation became clear. Somehow, humans had developed stealth technology that could completely fool Alliance sensors. They had been operating a secret intelligence network throughout Alliance space. They had established colonies on worlds that were supposed to be empty. And worst of all, they had been watching everything the Alliance did while remaining completely undetected. Dr. Karen White joined the group on the human bridge, holding a medical scanner that was clearly based on Alliance technology, but modified in ways that looked impossible. We have also been studying Alliance biology for several years. We have genetic samples from 43 different species, and have developed medical treatments that your own doctors would find very interesting. Alex Rodriguez finally spoke up from his position on the Alliance bridge. Captain, perhaps I should handle the translation protocols. I have some experience with human communication methods. Zethkar looked at his communications officer with suspicion. How could a colonist from New Geneva know anything about Earth humans, unless... Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez, Zethkar said slowly. Exactly where did you say you were born? Alex smiled and touched a hidden control on his console. I was born in Houston, Texas, on the planet Earth. I have been gathering intelligence on Alliance operations for the past 2 years while serving aboard your ship. The revelation hit the Alliance bridge like a physical blow. Their own communications officer was a human spy. He had been living among them, learning their secrets and reporting back to Earth all along. The level of infiltration was beyond anything they had imagined possible. Captain Martinez spoke again from the main screen. Captain Zethkar, I think it is time for both of our governments to have a serious conversation about the future relationship between Earth and the Alliance. The age of treating humanity as a primitive species has officially ended. Zethkar looked around his bridge at officers who were staring at him with expressions of shock and fear. In the space of 10 minutes, everything they thought they knew about the galaxy had been turned upside down. The humans were not primitive. They were not confined to their home system. They were not helpless victims who needed Alliance protection. They were a technological power that had been hiding in plain sight, and now they were ready to announce their presence to the universe. The stars looked the same as they always did from the bridge of the stellar wind, but Captain Zethkar knew something felt different today. He stood behind his command chair with all 4 of his blue arms crossed, watching the main screen show empty space around the Kepler 442 system. His crystalline skin caught the light from the bridge displays as he turned his large head toward the sensor station. Lieutenant Commander Alex Rodriguez sat at his post near the back of the bridge, trying to look as normal as possible. The human had spent 2 years working on this Alliance patrol ship, and nobody suspected what he really was. His fake identification papers said he was from a colony world called New Geneva, which was actually a real place but not where Alex came from. He came from Earth, and he was here for a very important mission. Chief Science Officer Yelnara clicked her mandibles together as she studied her readings. The insect-like Thrixian had 6 arms that moved quickly over her control panel, each one checking different sensors. Her compound eyes reflected the blue glow from her screens as she made small, worried sounds. Captain, I'm getting some strange readings from the asteroid belt, Yelnara said in her buzzing voice. The gravitational sensors show something large moving through that area, but our visual scanners see nothing at all. Zethkar walked over to look at her display. The numbers on the screen showed clear evidence that something big was out there, but when he looked at the visual feed, he saw only rocks and empty space. This made no sense according to everything he knew about physics and sensor technology. Run a full diagnostic on the sensor array, he ordered. These readings must be wrong somehow. Alex carefully reached over and touched a few controls on his communication panel. To anyone watching, it looked like he was just doing routine maintenance on the systems. In reality, he was sending tiny adjustments to the sensor calibrations that would make it even harder for the ship to detect what was really out there. He had been making these small changes for weeks, preparing for this exact moment. The bridge crew went about their normal duties while Alex continued his secret work. Communications Officer Tomar, a purple-skinned Zentari with tentacles instead of hands, checked subspace channels for any messages from Alliance Command. Navigator Jorix plotted their patrol route through the outer planets. Security Chief Vorthak cleaned his energy rifle while keeping watch for any signs of trouble. None of them knew that trouble was already much closer than they could imagine. 3 days earlier, the experimental human stealth ship Liberty's Edge had entered the Kepler 442 system without making a sound. The ship moved through space like a ghost, invisible to every type of scanner the Alliance had ever built. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on her bridge and watched the Alliance patrol ship through her own sensors, which could see everything while remaining completely hidden. Distance to target vessel? Martinez asked her navigator. 200,000 kilometers and closing slowly, replied Tom Baker from his position at the helm. The young man had steady hands and nerves that never seemed to shake, which made him perfect for this kind of delicate operation. Weapons status? Martinez turned to Jake Sullivan, her weapons specialist. All systems ready but powered down to minimum levels, Jake reported. We could fire if needed, but our mission orders are clear about avoiding conflict unless absolutely necessary. Dr. Peter Hayes looked up from his science station where he had been studying the Alliance ship's design. Captain, their sensor sweeps are passing right through us every 30 seconds, but they detect nothing. Our stealth technology is working perfectly. Engineer Katie Morgan smiled from her position at the engine controls. The quantum displacement field is stable, and power consumption is well within normal limits. We could maintain this invisibility for weeks if needed. Martinez nodded and looked at her communications officer. Danny, any word from the other ships in our fleet? Danny Kim checked his encrypted channels. All 6 vessels report ready status. Ships Eagle's Flight, Freedom's Call, Patriot's Dream, Victory's Hope, Liberty's Shield, and Democracy's Sword are positioned throughout the system and awaiting your signal. The captain took a deep breath. This moment had been planned for over 5 years, ever since Earth's government decided that humanity needed to make a dramatic statement to the galaxy. For too long, the Alliance had treated humans like primitive animals who barely deserved to exist. They had laws that prevented human ships from traveling beyond their home system. They refused to share technology or allow humans to join their trading networks. They acted like Earth was nothing more than a zoo filled with interesting but unimportant creatures. But Earth had been busy during those years of isolation. Human scientists had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Human spies had infiltrated Alliance space and gathered intelligence. Human engineers had built ships that could do things the Alliance thought were impossible. And now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really accomplish. Range to target is now 50,000 kilometers, Tom reported. Martinez watched the Alliance ship on her screen. Soon, Captain Zethkar and his crew would learn that their understanding of human capabilities was completely wrong. Soon, the entire galaxy would discover that the species they had dismissed and ignored had been watching them all along. Maintain current course and speed, Martinez ordered. We decloak in exactly 6 hours when their ship reaches the coordinates we selected. Make sure all departments are ready for contact. Back on the stellar wind, Alex Rodriguez continued his careful work. He had spent months learning the Alliance communication protocols and sensor systems. Every day he sent coded reports back to Earth using hidden transmitters built into his personal equipment. The Alliance officers around him had no idea that one of their own crew members was actually working for the enemy. Yelnara was still trying to figure out what was causing her strange sensor readings. She ran diagnostic after diagnostic, but the equipment kept insisting that something large was moving through the asteroid field. Captain Zethkar grew more frustrated with each passing hour, as his science officer failed to explain the mysterious readings. Perhaps it is just solar wind interference, Zethkar finally said. We have seen similar false readings before in systems with active stars. Alex almost smiled but kept his expression neutral. If only they knew how wrong they were. The readings were not false at all. 7 human ships were currently operating in their system, and the Alliance had detected exactly 0 of them. This was going to be a very interesting day. The hours passed slowly as both ships continued their deadly dance through space, one hunting for answers while the other prepared to provide them in the most shocking way possible. 3 weeks after the encounter in the Kepler 442 system, the Alliance Emergency Council convened in the Great Chamber on Zentara Prime. The massive hall buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 different species gathered to discuss the most significant threat to galactic stability in over 3 centuries. Captain Zethkar stood at the center of the chamber, still feeling overwhelmed by everything he had witnessed aboard the human ship. His report had sent shockwaves through the Alliance government, and now every major political leader in the galaxy was demanding answers to questions that nobody seemed able to answer. Admiral Korthax, the Alliance Supreme Military Commander, was a massive draconian with scales that shifted from green to silver depending on his mood. Right now, those scales were definitely silver, indicating extreme agitation and concern. His reptilian eyes swept across the assembled delegates as he tried to maintain order in a room filled with panicked voices. The human vessel appeared without warning in the middle of our patrol zone. Korthax announced to the chamber, "Our most advanced sensors detected nothing until the ship chose to reveal itself. This represents a complete failure of Alliance detection systems on a scale that threatens the security of our entire civilization." Councillor Veltar of the Nexarian Empire was a tall, pale humanoid with 6 arms and silver hair that moved like liquid mercury. His species had been one of the founding members of the Alliance, and he was clearly disturbed by the implications of Captain Zethkar's report. How is it possible that an entire human fleet operated in Alliance space for months without detection? Veltar demanded. Our intelligence services are supposed to monitor every technological development in the galaxy. How did we miss something this significant? Councillor Zephyrin of the Ethereal Collective was a being of pure energy, contained within a crystalline shell that glowed with soft blue light. Her species communicated through direct thought transmission, which made her observations particularly unsettling to the other delegates. "I have reviewed the sensor logs from the stellar wind," Zephyrin announced, her voice echoing strangely through the chamber. "The humans were not hiding from our detection systems. They were operating using principles of physics that our science does not recognize. This suggests a level of technological advancement that exceeds our own by several centuries." The chamber erupted in angry voices as delegates from dozens of species tried to speak at once. Some demanded immediate military action against Earth. Others insisted on diplomatic negotiations. A few suggested that the entire report was some kind of elaborate hoax designed to destabilize Alliance unity. Unknown to the arguing politicians, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Turner sat in the observer gallery, wearing the uniform of a junior aide to the Zentari delegation. The human intelligence officer had gained access to the emergency session using the same infiltration techniques that had allowed his people to penetrate Alliance space undetected. He transmitted real-time updates to Captain Martinez, who waited with the human fleet just outside the Zentara system. The debate continued for hours as Alliance leaders struggled to comprehend how completely their understanding of galactic politics had changed. The humans had not simply developed better technology. They had created an entirely parallel civilization that operated according to rules the Alliance did not understand. Director Qualon of Alliance. Intelligence was a Mindari whose tentacled head contained one of the most sophisticated analytical brains in known space. His species was responsible for gathering information about threats to Alliance security, and his failure to detect human activities was a personal humiliation that he would carry for the rest of his life. Our preliminary analysis suggests that human stealth technology operates by shifting their vessels into alternate dimensional phases, Quellon reported. This allows them to occupy the same space as normal matter, while remaining completely undetectable to conventional sensors. The energy requirements for such technology should be beyond any portable power source. Chief Science Advisor Yorthul was an ancient crystalline whose transparent body contained centuries of accumulated knowledge about galactic technology. Her assessment of human capabilities was particularly disturbing because it suggested that Earth had somehow leapfrogged past several thousand years of normal technological development. The gravitational manipulation systems observed on the human vessel indicate mastery of forces that we have only begun to study in theoretical form, Yorthul explained. Their quantum displacement technology suggests understanding of interdimensional physics that our best scientists consider purely hypothetical. The debate was interrupted when 3 massive shapes appeared in the sky above Zentara Prime. Human ships had decloaked directly over the Alliance capital world, hovering in clear violation of every sovereignty law in galactic history. The vessels were enormous, easily twice the size of anything in the Alliance fleet. and their appearance sent waves of panic through the planetary population. Admiral Korthax activated the planetary defense grid, but the human ship showed no signs of concern about the weapons pointed at them. They simply hung in the sky like metal clouds, demonstrating that they could reach any target in Alliance space whenever they chose to do so. "This is an act of war," Counselor Veltar shouted. "No species has the right to violate our capital system with military vessels." "Actually," Sam Turner said from his position in the observer gallery, "we are not violating your capital system. We are visiting it as representatives of an independent civilization that has never agreed to recognize Alliance sovereignty over this region of space." The entire chamber fell silent as delegates realized that a human agent had been sitting among them throughout the entire emergency session. Sam stood up and removed his disguise, revealing the uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps underneath the fake Zentari clothing. "I am Lieutenant Colonel Sam Turner, representing the government of Earth in these proceedings. I have been authorized to deliver a formal message from my leadership to your assembled council." He activated a holographic projector that filled the center of the chamber with the image of Captain Martinez, now wearing the insignia of an Earth Fleet admiral. Behind her stood other human officers and a backdrop showing the flags of 17 different worlds that had already agreed to join humanity's new coalition. "Members of the Alliance Council," Martinez said, "6 months ago your organization treated Earth as a primitive world that needed protection from the dangers of galactic society. You restricted our movement, denied us access to trade networks, and refused to share technology that could have benefited both our species." She gestured to displays showing human colonies and installations throughout Alliance space. "During that time, humanity was building an interstellar civilization that operates according to principles of equality and mutual cooperation. We have established diplomatic relations with 12 Alliance member species, who were seeking alternatives to your centralized government structure." Strategic analyst Chris Brown appeared on screen to present intelligence reports that made several council members shift nervously in their seats. "Our agents have documented systematic discrimination against junior species within the Alliance structure. Founding races control trade policies that favor their own economic interests. Newer members are denied access to advanced technologies while being required to provide resources to support Alliance military operations." The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Humanity had been watching Alliance politics for years and had identified every weakness in their governmental system. The offer they were making was not just about Earth joining the galactic community. It was about restructuring that community according to principles that actually served the needs of all member species. Ambassador Maria Santos appeared next to Martinez wearing formal, diplomatic credentials that identified her as Earth's official representative to galactic civilization. "The Alliance Council now has a choice to make. You can recognize Earth as an equal partner and begin negotiations to reform your governmental structure to provide fair representation for all member species." She paused dramatically before continuing. "Or you can watch as 12 Alliance worlds declare independence and join our new confederation within the next 30 days. Our intelligence indicates that 6 more species are actively considering similar actions." Admiral Korthax realized that the situation had moved far beyond military threats or territorial disputes. The humans were not trying to conquer Alliance space. They were offering an alternative to Alliance membership that many species would find more attractive than the current system. "What exactly are you proposing?" he asked. "Partnership instead of domination," Martinez replied. "Technology sharing instead of hoarding. Equal representation instead of rule by founding species. Economic cooperation instead of exploitation. A galactic civilization that serves the needs of all its members instead of privileging a few powerful races." The vote took place 6 hours later, after intense debate among council members. Faced with the choice between adapting to humanity's new reality or watching their civilization fragment into competing factions, the Alliance chose survival over pride. The final scene showed Ambassador Santos standing in the Great Hall of the Alliance Council chambers 6 months later.